Tyler Cavalli here, NCTA graduation, joined with the University President Hank Bounds. I'll be giving a speech here later this afternoon. Talk about the campus and everything, like the life in Curtis. You've been here once before, this is your second time. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so this is my fourth week on the job. It's the second opportunity that I've had to come to this college. I think it's one of the real jewels in the university system.
How do you get into that?
Prepares young people to go into jobs, go into the workforce where there are good paying jobs right now. And so one of the most exciting things that occurred when I first came is I had the opportunity to visit with lots of students, and I always asked the question, what's next? And every one of them said, I already have a job. And so,
oh, wow.
I mean, that's the reason that one of the primary reasons that you go to college, so that you can be gainfully employed. And so I'm excited to say that students who go through programs here at NCTA leave with either opportunities for furthering their education or opportunities to go into the workforce.
Okay. You went on a statewide tour of Nebraska. Obviously, this is one of these stops. Talk about how that all transpired. What was the reaction like of going and visiting the entire state of Nebraska?
Well, not being from Nebraska, I knew that I needed to see the state, understand the state. And so 1,500 miles, 6-day, 20 communities, 40 plus stops. You can only read so much about a place. You can't understand what the sandhills look like until you drive through the sandhills. You can't understand the diversity and the agroecology of the state until you're from one end to the other. And so the diversity is significant. It's a beautiful state. The research that's going on at the research centers around the state is phenomenal. Amazing things are happening at the University of Nebraska. One of the real learnings that I've had is that we don't do a real good job of telling our story. Many really good things are occurring across the state that many Nebraskans don't know about, and I think that we could create an entire new energy level if we just did a better job of talking about the good things happening here.
What was the reception like when you visited all these different campuses, or in just all the different communities that you visited across Nebraska?
It's been phenomenal. Even before I came here, I tell the story often of how Nebraskans have called my wife back in Mississippi or sent letters or emails just to say, welcome to Nebraska. Now that just doesn't happen in many places. The people have been so kind and gracious. The saying, there's no place like Nebraska, is absolutely true.
Well, as you just said a moment ago, your fourth week on the job, almost a whole month. Talk about that. How's that transpired, as we just talked about your trip, but just being in the office in the position of the president of Nebraska?
Well, obviously, not being from Nebraska, I'm still I still have a lot to learn. A week touring Nebraska probably doesn't do the state justice. Didn't have enough time to see everything that I need to see. It's a big university, it's a complicated university, and so if you think about the University of Nebraska, we have very large land grant, R1 institute, to small, very rural technical campus, to urban campus, to large comprehensive medical center, and so just trying to really understand all the moving parts will take some time.
Right.
And so for the next several weeks, I'll still be in a learning mode, and so I've had really good teachers like Dr. Rosati and Dr. Green and others who really care about this place, love this place, understand it, know it backwards and forwards. And so for the next several weeks, I'll continue to learn about strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, challenges, and then start thinking about how I can help craft a future that would make all Nebraskans proud.
Okay. Breaking that down just a little bit, of course, graduation today. Talk about the importance of NCTA to the university system and really Nebraska in general.
So I think it's I mentioned earlier there's a jewel in our system. Right. As I traveled around the state, one of the things that I kept hearing consistently is we need more of the kind of graduates that NCTA produces. It's obviously an ag state, more than $22 billion in production a year. Lots of needs. I heard Dr. Rosati talk about center pivot technicians, and that's just one skill set out of dozens of skills that are needed to properly operate and manage farms and ranches across the state. And so I think that the work that's being done here at NCTA is invaluable. It's invaluable both to the university and to the state of Nebraska.
Going off just a different road a little bit, talk about the search for a new chancellor.
We will kick that search off in the not too distant future. In fact, I'm already having conversations behind the scene to set up a process for selecting committee members. We are in the process of trying to connect with a search firm that can help us with that process. And so I want to try to get all the pieces of the search in place so that when faculty and students come back in August, we can officially kick off the search process and then, complete that process over the next several months. So it's not something, a search for a chancellor doesn't happen overnight. It takes months. It takes time to understand the needs of the university, the needs of the faculty, the needs of the students, needs of alums, need of athletic boosters, and then match that up with the right personality. So I'm just in the very beginning stages of starting that process.
When would you like to have that position filled?
I think best case scenario would be toward the end of the fall semester that we would be able to name someone. Okay. So naming someone versus having them in the role are two different issues, and so best case would be December timeframe that we would be able to name someone. It may be later than that.
Okay. All right. Finally, what will be your message to all the students that will be graduating and all those family members and friends attending today?
Also, the first thing is just a hearty congratulations. I grew up in an area where I never thought that I would have the opportunity to go to college. Higher education transformed my life, and it's going to transform the lives of these young people who are about to walk across the stage. It's going to impact their families' lives. It's worth the investment. The jobs that will be created over the next decade are going to be in the millions. The problem is we don't know what those jobs are, but what we do know is all of those jobs will require some education beyond high school. And so I'm so proud of these students who have invested their time, money, effort. I'm also proud of those family members who have supported their efforts. It's worth the investment that an individual makes to get more education.
Okay. All right. Well, University of Nebraska President Hank Bounds, Tyler Cavalli for KRVN.